Hi there, Michaela here with Michaela's Counseling. In this pandemic, most counselors have moved their services online, and I've had the chance to talk to a lot of people and hear a lot of different perspectives on what this means for their practice and on what this means for the quality of their connection with their clients and with their clients' connection with them. So I'd love to talk about this a little bit because I've done online work with some people for, I want to say, around about 6 years, maybe a little bit longer. So I do have an in-person practice that's of course all online right now. But I've also gotten the chance to really work with people and do coaching around the world for years. You can probably already tell that this is not a tip that this is not a tip video that's going to be about like making your background look pristine. It's not about having your head in like the ideal place or getting your cat moved out of the room. This is more really about the quality of presence and connection that we're able to bring to our clients online. And the cat's kind of interesting here because one of the things that I actually adore about working online is that when clients are meeting with me, often their cats will be in the room with them. And that's amazing because often animals will come to offer comfort during times that emotions are getting deep. And we just get to see a different quality of connection that we don't really get to sense to that level in the office. Like when clients meet with me in person, they might bring a picture of their pets. They might tell me how much they love their pet, how protective their pet is. But in sessions, we really get a unique chance to really see that. To meet their critters and sometimes to meet their family members. Somebody will walk in through the background sometimes, and there's just this real intimacy to meeting online. It's something that I'll sometimes remark on is it's like we're in each other's homes in a way. So I like that. I like that seeing into people's homes a bit gives me a little bit of a different snapshot of their life and even how they like to order their things and their sense of like geometry, color. And sometimes I can really see through the background something that's important to them that they've maybe never mentioned. I have a client who is meeting me from a room with big windows, and I just found out that this is a person that really likes to do landscaping outdoors. And it's just often when people come in, they're talking with us about their pain points, and we're helping them to really get clarity on different emotions, and we sometimes don't get to sense the love that's in their homes or the artistry that goes into their design, whether it's their room or their yard. So I think that's really a lovely thing to get to key into. Another thing with online is some clients find it difficult not to be within physical reach. I also find that a lot of clients, particularly clients with trauma and with histories of intrusion, sometimes feel a little bit safer meeting over camera. And so I never walk into a session assuming that the sense of intimacy is going to be less. I really encourage you to walk in with an open mind and realize and be open to it that some clients may do deeper work with you or disclose things to you or show tenderness online that they may not have been showing in your office. And so it's not always a reduction in intimacy. And in fact, I've seen some deeply, deeply powerful work happen online, and I've had the honor to be a part of it. And so I don't come in with any judgments about if it's going to be easier or more difficult. Even if the client kind of has a thought that it's going to be tough, it isn't always. So I like to really come in with the expectation that we are able to do powerful work, that we're still able to look into each other's eyes, that we're still able to get across so much information. Now, I was talking with a colleague recently who does a lot of somatic work, and she was really concerned about how do I do somatic work online when I don't actually get to see if somebody's foot starts jiggling. I don't get to see their hands and how they're gripping or fidgeting. In a way, I enjoy online work a little bit. I'm a little bit more proficient at tracking with online work sometimes, and I suspect it's because it limits the information that I'm tending to. When I'm working with people online and looking at somatic and body feelings, those are the same thing. Um, what I key into a lot is I key into neck tension. You'll see people's neck muscles tense up. Sometimes that can be really, really helpful to tune into. Shoulders coming up, shoulders back. I key into a client who begins to lean forward, a client who leans back, and to notice those things. Sometimes clients will talk about something with somebody that they're struggling with, and they will lean. And through working online, I've really tuned into a lot more subtleties because most people don't go like this, but you do start to notice like just like a little lean or a little tilt away when they're talking about a particular situation, and that can be really, really helpful to notice. I look at the quality, not of their eye contact so much. So here's the thing about the eye contact is right now I'm looking at the camera, which means that if you're trying to look at me and get a sense that we're connecting, you're not likely to feel it as easily as if I look, now I'm looking at the camera and it looks like I'm looking at you now, right? Now, there are people who can give you way better tips on how to optimize this. What I tend to do is look into the camera sometimes. And I also let the client know that I will be looking at them often, and it may look like I'm looking down. So I will try to get their picture as close to the camera as I can, but I'm also just really explicit about it that they may not always feel me looking at them, and if they want to get a sense of that contact for a moment, they can always ask. They can always ask me to look into the camera for a moment so that they can feel that sense of connection, because that's meaningful. That's meaningful to a lot of our people, especially in a time of a lot of isolation and wanting more of a sense of contact with people. So I alternate. But somatically, I look for neck tension. I look at shoulders. I key into not the quality of their eye contact, but the quality in their eyes. You can really start to see a lot of when people's eyes actually start to have a little bit of sparkle and come to life. When their eyes start to kind of somehow the light dims a little bit. You can notice if they're obviously like looking towards, looking away, and really notice just the quality of kind of their orientation, right? To themselves, to their environment, to their feelings, and you can really watch and see what wakes them up and what kind of tunes them out. So that's another thing I work with. Online, I pay a lot of attention to tonality. That's something that's just right there. And I think sometimes that actually gets neglected a little bit, especially for those of us who are somatically trained. We're often looking at these subtleties in the body, and sometimes we're not looking at a shift in tonality, a shift in the speed of talking. If somebody's sentences are rising up at the end, kind of uncertain, or if somebody is kind of speed talking their way past a feeling, or speed talking, we don't know exactly why in the beginning, right? But these are things that we can key into. I think for me, I can key into that a bit more deeply. What are some other things about online? My first experience with a somatic practitioner that really got me into somatic therapy and got me into training in those modalities is actually with a somatic experiencing person who does sessions with people online around the world. And I can tell you from my own personal experience that I had seen a counselor or two in town, but when I met with this guy, I mean, I remember a couple things. I remember before the meeting feeling almost like it wasn't real. Like he was online, and it just felt kind of weird not having an office to go to. So there was definitely just that little bit of almost not feeling like it was going to be as solid of a connection. And I'll tell you, I was so wrong. This guy was able to tune into nuances that I had just never seen anyone tune into with me, and I got a really profound experience of connection and really feeling seen and really feeling empowered. And I believe in the first session, we worked with some things that actually helped me feel strength in my arms and grounding in my legs. So just because you can't see what's happening with somebody's body doesn't mean that you can't work with it. You can totally ask questions, for one thing, or say, hey, if you notice something that your hands or legs are doing, tell me, or feel free to tell me if you start doodling on a piece of paper. And sometimes some clients are not going to be comfortable with that. And some clients will actually start telling you, they'll say, oh, I'm doodling on a piece of paper, or even, gosh, we started talking about this difficult situation and I'm really wanting to check my phone. And that's actually a gift when they're able to tell us what's going on, what they're orienting to, and even noticing if there are things in their environment that they like to orient to when they're coming in. With clients who I feel like are struggling a bit with feeling centered or feeling grounded, and not even because we're working online, just because this is something that they struggle with, I might send them an email in advance of the session, or I might talk with them one session about things in their home that make them feel safe, that make them feel connected, that help them feel grounded. And that can be a fun way to be relational too, because maybe I bring a warm drink, I bring like some of my favorite hot tea, and I ask them to bring one of their favorite beverages, and that way we're sitting here and we both have something that's kind of grounding for us, or kind of something from our own homes, and there's a piece of sharing there that can be cool. I had a client recently bring in one of her favorite mugs. It was this gigantic thing and it was so artistic, and so that can be really fun. And I definitely welcome the show and tell when clients want to bring a stuffed animal that really makes them feel happy inside, or when somebody wants to be in a particular room or to have a particular beverage. Like, that's just so informative, and it can be so connective. So I hope that this gives you some ideas on some of the things that can be cool about online. The other thing I'll say is you can play with proximity the same way that you might in your office. Some clients really like if I'm really up here and they feel like I'm really looking at them intently. Some clients want to flee the room, if I'm that close. And so with clients who maybe aren't comfortable speaking to that, I might just really notice where their comfort level is and work to calibrate. I might even just shift a few times in the session and just really notice for myself when it is that they start to come forward, because they often will once they feel a safe sense of kind of that the proximity between us isn't too close. If I'm not too close, they might come closer. But sometimes I also just like to ask or say, hey, let's play with this a little bit, because being on camera is so different, but actually we can work with a sense of proximity or a sense of space, and let's see what makes sense. Some clients might want me to be like back on the couch behind me so that they can see more of my full body. And some clients might like me to be close here, and it makes a difference if I'm leaning back, if I'm leaning forward. And so there's so much that you still get to play with online, and there are ways that we get a glimpse into clients' life that we just may never have had without really the gift of getting to learn how to meet online. In some quick technical tips. One is, when I can, I try to give a few minutes at the beginning of session to either be able to meet early or to be able to go late. That didn't make sense. I said I make time in the beginning of the session to do either, but I either make time at the beginning or I make time for us to go a little bit later at the end, because I don't want clients the first time to be panicking if something technically goes wrong. And so tech things go awry sometimes. And so there's a certain level of coaching, and you can certainly find over time the different ways to help clients troubleshoot. Like when their connectivity is low, I'll ask them to shut down the other tabs on their computer and see if that helps. Just making sure that they're connected in with their Wi-Fi. Different kind of settings changes. Sometimes their camera and their microphone don't come on immediately. I use Zoom, by the way. And so I've learned how to walk people through the buttons. And sometimes there's just something that doesn't work anyhow. Like maybe they live in a more rural area, or for some reason their connectivity just isn't working out for us. What I like to do then is I just always have a phone at my side. I ask clients to bring their phone. And for those people, I'll just go ahead and tell them to mute their side. I'll mute my side. I'll give them a call. And usually that will actually let Zoom, it'll let the internet work faster. And I don't know why. It's just without the audio input. It seems like our faces will freeze less often if we mute the audio and we talk on the phone. So I find that it's good to just have a sense of spaciousness, to have an experimental attitude about it, and to be really understanding and go, this stuff happens. Like we all have tech things happen. And sometimes even to lighten the mood a little bit, I'll say, have you noticed that it's only when you have an important meeting that your computer decides to do this really long update? So you can certainly send clients guidelines and you can have them test out their software in advance. But I have a little bit of time and I like to be relational with that piece too, and just helping them troubleshoot issues with the setup. So that's something where your mileage may vary. But yeah, having a phone at hand, knowing that you can mute the audio. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the really technical side. I'm not thinking of anything right now. You can certainly ask me in the comments section if you have questions or you have things that you do on any of this. I will tell you that I'm for sure not a tech person. I'm giving you like the really, really surface solutions to some of the issues, but there are going to be, I think, a lot of channels that can help you a lot more with things like if you want to upgrade your audio quality, if you want your camera to be really optimized in its position, optimizing your background, all of that. But I love the piece of working online and really being relational and being connective with that. So I would love to engage with any of those questions. And I'd love to hear any tips that you have, because it's so individual how everybody works with this. And I've really heard different people key into different things. But I do want to encourage you as you're walking in to really find what is good about meeting online and be open to what clients might find good about meeting online, because even though it's a bit of an inconvenience for a lot of people right now, there's opportunity here. And if we just look for it and we just tune into it, you might be surprised to find a deeper level of connection than you ever thought was possible online. So with that, I'm going to sign off for now. It was great talking with you, and happy to make more tips videos if there are topics that people are interested in. In any case, I really hope that this is helpful. Bye for now.